Meghan Markle showed up in New York City dragging her pants on the ground, of course, as she went to lecture people as a, I would argue, mostly failed businesswoman at the Time 100 summit, which she was only invited to because of the man she married. Yes, she got to lecture the audience a bit about her many mistakes with her businesses. Archie about to lose a tooth, which is sort of suspicious given that we just saw Prince Louis without his two front teeth, and that she seems to put a lot more emphasis on being a great example to her daughter over her son. Yeah, so yes, we shall get into all of this. I haven't actually watched the full interview yet because it just popped up on YouTube about a couple of minutes ago. So we will watch it together and then I will upload this video. So I hope you guys really enjoy the musings, the endless vacuous musings of Meghan Markle. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, hello, my name is Brittany. I provide compelling royal commentary, so feel free to hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you back. And I did a whole review on Meghan's As Ever products. I had to wait a couple of weeks because I purchased them with expedited shipping. It took them 8 days to get here. And then I was actually out in Europe. So if you want to see my reaction to the actual tasting of the products, I have a video on that. But when it comes to the packaging issues, the various packaging issues and the mistakes and all these sorts of issues that I found, including her crepe directions, actually have two different sets of fonts. Yes. Direction number 4 is actually a bigger font than the rest of the font. Yes. Something that should have been easily caught by a competent copy editor. The amazing amount of just simple, very avoidable amateur mistakes here is something very worthwhile to go over. So if you want all those details and pictures and everything, I do have a link here to my Substack that I'll put up above. And so if you want some of that more kind of breakdown of the products, feel free to check that out. And I also wanted to say real quick, Ana Lucia Diamonds, which is a lab created diamond company that is able to sponsor and support what we do on RNN. They do have an opportunity this month. So if you spend over 500, you get a free set of half carat studs. If you use the code Royal20 on their website, they will be automatically added to your order if you use that code, and you also save 20%. So I'm actually not really wearing much of the diamond pieces I have from them, but I do have my twisted gold hoop earrings from them, which I absolutely love. And I got my gold chain here as well. I just thought these would be sort of fun additions to this look, and looking a little bit fancy. Obviously, my rings are silver, and I do have my 7 stone eternity band there, which you can see looking absolutely gorgeous. But if you guys are interested in any of these pieces, there's a link up above as well. Again, use code Royal20 and save 20%. So before we get into Meghan Markle, we do have some other royal news to update you with. The first is that Prince Louis turned 7, and they did share this very cute video of him today, Catherine and William, and I love this, guys. So go ahead and take a listen to this here.
I can jump down from here.
I think this is a great move for Catherine and William. I would say the British royals are very much behind the game compared to some of their contemporaries in regards to social media. Everything is moving to video. So, yes, pictures are great. And I think pictures are important, but video is sort of becoming the bigger and bigger thing. So, I think all the kids, the anniversaries and everything, the more video they can share, I think a bit of the better. So, hopefully, maybe they got something of both Louis and Charlotte these last couple weeks as they've been off for school. So when it comes to the funeral of Pope Francis, I believe I said at least Prince William was attending. We have most of the rest of the monarchs of Europe attending the funeral. We do have the update that Queen Mary of Denmark is attending as well, in addition to basically everybody else, with the exception of the Netherlands, because that is their King's Day celebration, which is a huge national day celebration there. That would be really hard, I think, to reschedule unless it was something absolutely catastrophic. And the Netherlands is a Protestant country. So it sort of makes sense that they wouldn't avoid it because of the Pope's funeral. If it was a Catholic country, I could see that very much being a stronger likelihood, which I find kind of interesting when you think about it, sort of that historic connection of the countries that are closer to the Vatican being Catholic and the countries that are further north being Protestant, and what that means for something like the funeral of the Pope. So, I mean, they would be going except for the fact that they have this huge National Day celebration. They've obviously probably pulled a lot of permits, a lot of people are ready, vendors and everything. So I totally understand them not postponing that. For something more geopolitical, King Frederick of Denmark will be visiting Greenland here within the next week or two. And we do have, of course, the possible purchase of Greenland from the United States. Donald Trump and his administration is pushing that. Obviously, Denmark, which owns Greenland, or you could say overseas Greenland, is sort of pushing against that. So you have some interesting geopolitical implications there, and that King Frederick is not only going to host the chairman of the Greenland government, but is actually going to go back to Greenland as well, since he just went there, I believe it was last year, for a tour after his ascension to the throne. Is a pretty big deal. This is going to be something, again, that's going to come more and more to the forefront. So interesting things going on there in Denmark. So Meghan Markle at the Time 100. We will watch this video again. I actually haven't seen this video yet because I was trying to search for it and see if it would come up. It hadn't come up yet. And then all of a sudden it did. I think it posted probably at about 4-ish. I'm recording this at 4:35. So I thought it would be better just to get a natural reaction to things. But I've heard some of the reports of what she said. And if I was poor little Archie, I mean, it's so obvious that Meghan only cares about Lily. Like it's very apparent here. She also talks about her mistakes in her business, which are numerous and incalculable at this point. Her product offerings have been dismally terrible in many ways. And the only reason she's getting any of this is because of who she married. She's not particularly talented. She's not particularly successful. She's getting this because of the guy she married, and she's doing something that she's done actually for years. So many people tout all the supposed achievements of Meghan Markle. Like, she spoke and said in front of something regarding the UN when she was an actress, and the UN Secretary General was there. But if you actually look at the facts, so much of what Meghan Markle, quote unquote, achieved is due to PR. She has a PR agency promoting her up the wazoo, shoving her in front of as many things as possible because she thinks it gives her this level of credibility. But as soon as she opens her mouth, it's just so incredibly apparent how dismal she is at what she's trying to do. When she talks about business, it's like embarrassingly bad how awful she is at it. And so all these things together kind of reflect somebody who's not particularly here because of their individual achievements. They're there because they have been able to pay to get there. And so she just doesn't have that much to offer. But she's trying desperately, like she always has, to buy her credibility instead of actually achieving it. Her company is barely off the ground, and yet she's doing a podcast about business, which is tanking every week because she knows nothing about business. So we're going to go ahead and watch this and get my honest reactions from Meghan. And I think I'll probably have to do a whole, maybe short-ish fashion video about her abysmal pants, because oh my gosh, this woman cannot dress herself and she thinks she's 5'11" when she's like 5'5", 5'6", and it shows. Her pant hems are dragging on the ground. Why in the world does she think this looks good? Like, seriously. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this here. And I will say as well that we have Meghan once again referring to herself as Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. So what happened to Meghan Sussex? I need to do a whole video on that because I find her immediately dropping this idea of Meghan Sussex to be a reflection once again of how she doesn't think anything through, and she just like blaws things at people. And then when they don't go really particularly well, she like backs off. When Meghan Sussex could have worked if she actually spent some time actually making it work, it might have worked. So we shall also put this on a little bit of a faster speed just because it helps us get through it a little bit quicker. And we'll stop about every 15 seconds. I know that annoys people, but we do it for copyright reasons. So let's get into it.
And I first want to just say congratulations to you on everything that you've done and everything that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a very full it's been a full few months for sure.
So Meghan Markle has not achieved that much. She's had a TV show that she got because of her husband. She's had a podcast she got because of her husband. And everything has been mid. Her products are mid, the reception is mid, everything is mid. So she hasn't had this great success. She thinks she has, but it's really not there. And the more she talks, the more people are annoyed with her. So she just doesn't do herself any favors doing an event like this when we all know she's failed at multiple times at other things already.
Sure, yeah. So this conversation is about her journey, your journey. And I want to start.
We have 20 minutes?
Yeah, we do.
It's been a journey.
We do. We can go over.
Like, what journey? You did the oldest trick in the book, Meghan Markle. You married a rich man who gave you everything. That's it. That's all Meghan Markle can tell you is marry a rich man. Because she couldn't do this on her own. She's done none of this on her own. Everything is because of her husband. This is why she married him. She couldn't do it on her own. She doesn't have an original idea. She can't pitch things. And so she does something like this, which makes her look a little ridiculous. So, yeah.
Or just lunch after. Your journey. I want to talk about you as a founder, as a CEO, as an innovator, as a creator.
She's not an innovator and she's not a creator. Please stop saying that. Oh my gosh. Hold on one second. This drives me nuts, guys. Okay, so it might take a second for this. There are two different fonts here. There are two different fonts. One font is bigger. It's number 4. Like, that's terrible. Come on now. She's not good. This is just bland, banal, awful. She's not a creator. She's not an innovator. She's not an entrepreneur. She has not done anything on her own that would require any sort of interesting dimension. Like, she fails at like every single level. Like, please stop saying that. It makes people think she's actually achieved something. And it sets a horrible precedence, I think, for young women. She sets a horrible precedence for young women, is that she thinks she's done something. And all she's done, again, is the oldest trick in the book, which is marry a wealthy guy to give you everything because you can't achieve it on your own. Like, at least I've achieved what I have on my own. You can say what you want about it, but I've done it by myself. Didn't need a man to do it.
An investor. We have the CEO of Netflix here. I did binge your show with Love Meghan. There's nothing you can't do, which is
so it's kind of interesting that the Netflix CEO is there because they're desperately trying to make her seem, I don't know, like competent in any sort of way. I mean, again, 2 different sizes of fonts, Netflix. That should be easily caught with something called copy editing. And there's numerous other issues. Also, this doesn't close. If you'll notice it doesn't close. You know how you have that little lip that you can stick the lid of your box into to save it for the next round? She's too cheap to do that. So everything she does is cheap, tacky, and yeah, stop telling her how wonderful she is because she's mid. She's middling. Stop trying to shove her down our necks, Netflix. We see right through her. We're not impressed. We're not impressed.
amazing. But talk about how this became a business.
Well, with I think always credit where credit's due. You know, I know Ted Saran.
Founder as ever. Oh, it's had one run, one crappy run. That's it. It's not a successful business yet. It is barely there. It's a nothing thing. She obviously rushed it. There are numerous issues, copy issues, graphic issues within her collection. I mean, the other issue with this box is that there's white space there on one side that I caught because the margins were wrong on in copy. So, like, yeah, no, stop.
Manos will be here later on today, and Ted has been such an incredible partner in the partnership my husband and I've had with Netflix for the past few years.
Yeah, and they look incredibly stupid for doing it, to be quite honest. Netflix looks ridiculously stupid for going along with this nonsense.
And then Bella Bajaria as well has just been so incredibly supportive. And I think just naturally, I was doing what I've always loved to do. And people couldn't see that more broadly, but what I'd love to do was always make things in my kitchen, do small flower arrangements.
So you don't talk about that kind of stuff. I never got the sense that that was really your passion ever. And that's partly because you haven't shown any of that. So yeah, this show was maybe an opportunity for you to show us what you love doing, but half the time you looked like you didn't even know what you were doing. So it doesn't really help. And honestly, you came across as an overbearing, terrible host. Like, I would run screaming for the hilltops if she was my hostess. because she came across as incredibly overbearing, a perfectionist, so many different things. So this idea that, oh my gosh, she's just coming in and showing the people who she really is. We've heard that line 12 times now, Meghan. We saw who you really were a long time ago. Netflix is just trying to save a couple of bucks. That's all they're doing. That's the only reason they indulge the two of you, is that they think they can make some money off of you, and that's it. As soon as you're, again, a bigger liability, as soon as everything crashes and burns, they'll dump you like a hot potato.
Take a lot of jam. And
You didn't even make jam, you made spread. Like, she can't even keep track of what she's made. Like, she talks about the raspberry spread as if this was the start of it all, when it was strawberry jam. This kind of rewriting of history stuff drives me bonkers, because it's like, you were out there promoting all of this a year ago. Like, you act as if we're stupid. I hate it when people do that in the public sphere. They act like we are stupid, that we didn't see her promoting American Riviera Orchard and strawberry jam instead of, as ever, raspberry spread a year ago. So yeah, we're not stupid, Meghan.
And when I was sending those as gifts, one day Bella said, "There's a show here," and I
Okay, then I really question Bella. Oh, that's a terrible idea. Oh gosh, that's terrible. People watched her show to mock her, not really because they were all that interested. Most people, anyways.
hadn't at the onset thought that that was something that I wanted to share in that way. And creatively, we worked as partners to really find a way for it to land and for me to be able to share it and just have fun, which is really, I think, the goal in this chapter.
It didn't land. Most people made fun of it. It sort of became something where that's actually a good screenshot, where people were more interested. They watched it to see if it was as bad as the reviews said, not because they were particularly all that interested in her and this premise. Again, Meghan's not really facing reality here. But this is what Netflix is doing too. Netflix is trying to save face. I think the whole thing with Netflix is that they are desperate to try to save face, because Meghan and Harry are a disaster and they look stupid for signing them. So they're trying to make them look successful because they feel stupid for signing them. And they're trying to sort of appease their shareholders, when Harry and Meghan have most likely more lost them money than helped them make money.
For me, certainly. And then you just watch the extensions of that, where Netflix coming on as my business partner for the brand, as ever, is really an extension of the evolution of our partnership together, and they complement each other.
It's embarrassing that Netflix signed on to this, to be quite honest. Again, the quality control with her products is abysmal. It's abysmal. And it makes Netflix look bad too.
Well, what I love about the show, raise your hand, you've seen the show? Okay. If you haven't, Ted's gonna be very happy. Megan's gonna be very happy. You're all gonna be watching the show. It's amazing. What I love about the show is that you bring in your family, you bring in your friends, you bring in like the team, the crew, you make them part of the show.
She didn't, though. She didn't bring in her family. You saw very briefly her mother and her husband, and that's it. We did not see her family. She doesn't have any. She has publicly distanced herself from every single member of her family but her mother, who doesn't even seem that particularly interested in her. And she did that because she didn't want anybody ruining her narrative about her life, about her success, her story, whatever. And so her mom was the only one willing to go along with the narrative. And so she went along with that. And they didn't show up there at all. So you can't say family. It was only friends, only new friends too, for the most part. Most of these people she's met in the last couple of years, long-term friends, don't really exist for Meghan.
Show.
That was very important to me.
And so talk to me a little bit about, you care for so many people.
Oh, please stop. No, she doesn't. She doesn't care for her in-laws. She doesn't care for her father. Like, that is a joke. When people say stupid things like that, and we all know the actual public track record, it makes it look like you're needlessly kissing her butt.
And you talk about joy and love. Everything that you do comes with caring for the people that are on your show and around you. You're CEO. There's a lot of glam, but we know there's a lot of grit.
This is terrible interview. This is a horrible interview. She is terrible, the CEO of Time. This is meandering long question.
And grind. How do you care for yourself?
Well, thank you for asking that. Well, look,
Yeah, because she wants to talk about herself. Thank you for asking that, because I want to talk about myself. Of course she does. What else does she want to do? She always wants to talk about herself. Oh man, that's bad.
I think for me, part of what's really, really important is that love language of taking care of people also really feeds me. And I think that is in many ways part of my self-care, which can feel confusing for a lot of people. You go, well, how do you show up for all these people and not feel depleted?
She doesn't feel depleted because when you actually watch her show, it becomes apparent that her kind of doting on you is her way of controlling you. But she's only hospitable when it serves her, not somebody else. So she's not hospitable when, let's say, talking with her in-laws, talking with her own father. In those ways, she's not hospitable. She's only hospitable when it serves her purposes. And that's a critically important distinction. That's why she's like, "Well, it doesn't drain me at all because it's only there to serve her. It's not there to serve anybody else. It's only there to serve her."
But a lot of times, if you're doing it in a way where you're giving in a way that is thoughtful and intentional and so authentic, it actually energizes you as opposed to depleting you. So, as an example, when you mentioned the crew as a character, when I said, how are we going to do a cooking show or a crafting show that doesn't feel like a typical
She didn't really do a crafting show, like, barely. She didn't really even give good directions, like, none of it was a good direction that you could even really follow to, like, recreate. That was part of the problem with this whole premise in the first place, but again, she's not really serving people to serve them. She's serving herself by serving them. And that is just so critically important. She's not doing it as an act of humility. She's doing it as an act of control, as an act of, you could say, authority over somebody else. She's not doing it with love. She's doing it for her own self love purposes. And I'm sorry, but true hostessing is an act of humility. It's an act of humility. And Megan doesn't have that. She wants to do certain things to appease and serve herself. And if sometimes people benefit from it, sure, but a lot of people do end up seeing through this kind of stuff.
stand and stir, which we all remember from back in the days. We stand, look at Cameron, you're stirring something. I didn't necessarily want to do that.
Because that's how real cooking shows actually work. And she's not a real cook. She didn't really have anything to offer when it comes to cooking. So she couldn't do that because literally she can't do that. So she had to come up with something else. But again, there's thousands of other people on YouTube doing it better than she is.
And I didn't want a reality show. And so the only way to feel as though you were still in conversation with me, I felt, was I had to be talking to the people in the room with me. And that was the crew. And, on Suits, we had a crew of over 200 people. So, and on this show, it's a crew.
So I just find that a little weird because she would just talk to them occasionally. But the whole point of the show is to show people things. So yeah, she had to talk to camera. But the unfortunate thing too, I think, in this idea is that because it was all about, let's say, talking to the crew, she would talk to the crew and not talk to the audience. So as an audience member, I felt disconnected because it doesn't feel like she was ever talking to us. She was talking to the people in the actual room with her.
Crew of 80 people, which also, when people say, why didn't you do it in your house? It's like, well, my kids are coming home for their nap, and 80 people in the kitchen isn't really the childhood memory I would love for them to have.
And her kitchen's terrible. She has a very dated kitchen. One of the things you'll notice about their house is that it's very dark. It would be difficult to light, to be quite honest. Like when I did, which I never finished. I got to finish it for the members. I'm so sorry. I did my own jam cooking video, and I did it from my parents' house, in part because they have a nicer kitchen, they have better lighting, natural lighting. I have a lot more of it. So to me, it made a lot more sense to do it there because they have sort of an area to fulfill it. Whereas her kitchen is dark, it's dated, and I would bet you if she had her way, she would tear it out. My personal opinion about their house has always been it was at the top of their budget. I don't think they could redo the house. And so they left it mostly as is, maybe changing up the paint colors and stuff like that. But you'll notice a lot of celebrities, they buy really nice homes. And even with nice finishes, they go in and gut it because they want to make it in their way. And Harry and Meghan's house doesn't totally strike me as what they would sort of want. They just happened to find a deal and went with that house. But I would imagine if she had her way, she would probably tear out most of her kitchen and make it maybe a little bit more modern. It sort of fits with the theme of the house, which is sort of Tuscan, but it doesn't really seem like Meghan. So this idea that, oh, I didn't want my kids when they're coming home for a nap. So if they're napping, why would they care? They don't even see it. It's a 16,000 square foot house. Like there's multiple places for them to not see the crew. It was mostly because her kitchen sucked.
So we were really fortunate to find something close by. But I think, look, all of that is part of how I take care of myself, and tapping into what really ignites my joy is part of that. And being creative has really, really been anchored in that for this moment.
because it serves her. She's very self-centered. She wants it to be all about her. And so this idea that she's serving just because she loves it and everything, I would actually prefer a hostess that does a good job and then hates doing it. Because that means they are doing something outside their comfort zone and they're doing it because it's an act of service to serve others, not because it's going to serve them. Because I imagine, of course, does she serve her in-laws? No. If you can't serve your in-laws, then you're not really a good hostess because her hosting only goes one way. It only goes to serve her.
And the series has already been renewed.
Yes.
I hear you're
Because they already filmed 2 seasons. Stop saying it's renewed. They already filmed 2. That's not really a renewal.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's been renewed and filmed, but
It has.
that's okay. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Season 2 is coming.
So does she know nothing? Golly, this is a terrible interview.
That's your like first platform or one of your platforms. The second is your product line, as ever.
Mhm.
It's my understanding the first drop was sold out in 20 minutes.
45 minutes.
Okay, 45
Yes.
minutes.
So probably because she didn't have that much. And I'm sorry, but the presentation, the products were crappy. This will serve her for a little bit, but at some point, this will start to fail. Again, just being truthful.
But yes, after a year of work and development and
It was not a year work of development. It was like 3 months, I would guess. Because I have this here just because it's easy. There are like 2 obvious mistakes in this packaging that she actually did a video on showing her looking at this packaging. And she totally missed the 2 different sizes of fonts and this blank negative space right here. So, yeah. It looks shoddy. That should not happen.
manufacturing, we had a feeling that it would have some buzz surrounding it.
She's trying to be this faux modesty is just laughable.
45 minutes was not something I could have anticipated. I'm super grateful for the support.
That's
Yes.
such a surprise. That's so
I'm sure she wanted it to be sold out in 10 to 15 minutes. I'm sure that was her actual desire. And again, it depends on, she's not saying how much did she produce? Because let's just say she produced a couple hundred of each product. Then yeah, it might sell out really quickly and you can go, "Oh, it sold out." Maybe even 100 or less or something, 250. If she just did that, then it's not that impressive. It's really not that impressive. It depends on how much she produced. That's the true measure here.
exciting.
Thanks.
And your
Oh gosh, this is a terrible interview. I mean, basically, this interviewer was told basically to just kiss her butt for the next 20 minutes.
third platform, which I love, is your podcast,
Hmm.
Confessions of a Female Founder. And you've had some of the most incredible women on your show. You're really
Yes.
supporting
No, she hasn't. I don't know any of these women. So how could they be the most amazing women? Again, this faux congratulatory thing, which was obviously, I'm sure, set up by Meghan's PR team, is so grating because, like, part of it, you just know if you've been watching this whole situation, you just know it's not true. And even people who haven't been watching the situation all that closely know it's not true. Meghan has never given a serious question. And it just becomes so apparent. And I find it so obnoxious that nobody will ask her a serious question. But that's how she set this all up, to never, ever, ever be asked a serious question. She doesn't want to be asked a serious question because she can't answer it. She doesn't want to. I'd have more respect for her if she could take an interview where somebody challenged her. She can't do that. This is a terrible interview.
women, and I love that. We need more of that. What are your confessions?
Oh, this is dumb.
As a
Well,
female founder,
there are quite a lot of them on the episodes, I will say. So, Confessions of a Female Founder felt as though it was the perfect complement for what I was building at this point in my life. Between
She's not she didn't take any advice though. Her product line is crappy. Her products themselves are pretty crappy. So yeah. I mean, I'll just insert here my reaction to Meghan's peppermint tea. That's what you want, right? Right?
the series and between the brand, I thought, how interesting is it to be able to listen to the conversations of someone building a business while they're doing it?
But that only helps if you actually grow a decent business. And she's not growing a decent business. It's really surviving just simply because she's the Duchess of Sussex and nothing else. That's the only way this has gone anywhere. And because of that, I don't think she can ask a serious question about business because she doesn't know anything about it. She's literally skirting by on her title, and that's it.
And that includes all of the pivots and twists and turns and redirections that happen, as any entrepreneur will tell you. Every day is full of surprises. And
This is why you also do things in short bursts. So this is not why you go and publicly flog American Riviera Orchard when you later all of a sudden decide, oh no, that's not going to work, or you get too many pushbacks on the trademark and you decide, oh, that's not going to work, and then you go in a different direction. That is amateur hour. That's just bad business. And she's at the level she can hire people where she doesn't make those type of stupid mistakes.
on the show, the other show, on the Netflix series, I will say surprise and delight. In the business of building, they're not always delightful surprises, but they are.
This is kind of word salad nonsense. Yeah, this is why I can't take her seriously as a businesswoman. She can't answer a serious question about business.
Are great teachable moments. And so I think some of the confessions that I have shared on the show include, I'll give you an example, the unboxing experience, where I was so concerned on the aesthetic of how something would be received, because it goes back to presentation. And
Okay, so Megan, I can show you my presentation. Well, it helps, Megan, if you actually ship things in a timely manner, but you hired a crappy company to do it, so it did not ship in a timely manner. In addition to that, it sat out in the rain because you did not give me the proper routing number, and so I did not know it was there. So, yeah, presentation means diddly squat if you can't get it to someone on time in a timely manner. I paid for 2 days shipping. It took 8 stinking days to get to me. That's insane. That's crappy. And so who gives a flip about presentation when you can't get the product to people in a timely manner? It just, ugh. And not to mention the fact, the presentation of the products, again, I found lots of issues with your products. Extra spaces. So you didn't pay that close attention, did you?
hospitality in so many ways. I said, do we have the dimensions on the box? I said, look, I need to get the dimensions. They were finally able to give them to me, what the 3PL was going to have in the tissue paper, but I needed to see it and feel it. I needed my hands in it, which I think is part of, for me, my authentic self is really.
Again, she's not good at this, though. She's not good at this. So when she's going on and on about this, I'm like, oh, Megan, I've had your products. I don't feel this intentionality at all. And I imagine part of the problem, too, is she's focusing on the wrong things and she's trying to cut corners. And it shows. It showed.
Really being involved in the creative and the granular. So I went online. I bought all these cardboard boxes, bought all the tissue paper.
Why? Have somebody do this for you. Who cares? Who cares? That's so innocuous. Make sure the font's correct on your box. Make sure the copy's accurate. That's more important than the tissue paper. Like, who cares? And again, have professionals find this information out for you. That is what they are there for. Why are you ordering boxes? It's a waste of your time. Again, I have to do a lot of things myself because I have to do a lot of things myself because it's my own business. I do everything myself. I don't have the money to hire a bunch of people. She has plenty of money to hire professionals to do all these things for her. And yet she's ordering boxes and tissues to try to figure it out herself. Like, that's a huge waste of time. That's a massive waste of time. And it's clear that on other things where she should have focused her energy, she wasn't, because she was focused on just basically shallowness, the shallow look of opening the box, which you will throw away anyways. It's just dumb.
And the filler and everything that should go inside. And I just sat there in my kitchen replicating this unboxing until I realized I think this is going to be the right metric and size that we're looking for.
That is stupid. I'm sorry. That's just a stupid waste of time. Oh my gosh. Read your copy, Megan. Look at your graphics. Like, that matters. People are just going to open the box and throw it away. You're not, honey, this is not luxury. Luxury, it might matter. This, it doesn't. I don't even think Louis Vuitton puts that much energy into how things look as you're unboxing it. Seriously.
But the confession of that is that's not glamorous. That's not what I think people imagine I'm doing in my kitchen.
And it's also, and again, I want to say, massive waste of time.
but it's important. And
It really wasn't. It really was not important. Like, the stuff in the box, I think, is the least of things that she should be worried about.
And a lot of those are revealed throughout the 8 episodes of the series with Limonada, which is a female-founded podcast production company that I'm working with. They're fantastic.
Because they're willing to let you do whatever you want, even if none of it is working.
I think confession for you today that I could very comfortably say is I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And that part, to have a partner and a husband who is just so supportive, and to have healthy kids that are so joyful. And
I feel like if you have to say constantly, because I feel like we got this from Harry too in a recent People magazine article, that he's the happiest. He's so happy. I'm so happy. If you have to say it that much, it's probably not really true. The more they say it, the less I believe it. It's kind of like, and I hate to use this example, but this is the one that comes to mind because they've done this twice now, where they say William is acting like a statesman. And I'm like, if you have to say he's acting like a statesman, it's almost that you don't believe he's acting like a statesman. Don't say it, let him do it. And that is the litmus test. What she's saying now is, I'm so happy. I have a great partner in Harry who supports me. Does she support him? Doesn't ever really say that. It's all about him supporting her. I have great kids. Sure, whatever. That's fine. But if you have to say constantly how happy you are, you're probably not that happy, to be quite honest. You are happy by living your life. You're not happy by telling us you're happy. And it's saying something versus actually doing something.
in the freeness of their life and the safety of their life that we create for them, I never, of all the things that have happened in my life, I never would have imagined getting here at this point. I would feel just so happy and grateful. And I really do.
She wants some money too. She has more money than she probably ever thought or hoped she wanted. I mean, she wants more. But for her as well, I would say a lot of this goes down to I want money. I want money and I want people who can give me more money.
Well, that's nice.
Why are you clapping for that? That's dumb.
And that really does come out in your show. You obviously have to just let some things go.
Oh gosh, such a terrible.
I love that you're high-low.
What? She's wearing a $5,000 suit. She's not high-low.
This all looks wonderful, but you can do some of it. Like, it's not perfection. It's just
No.
Yes, it is. Meghan always strives for perfection. She has a freakish attention to detail, and at the same time, she doesn't. So, yeah.
I love how a journalist from Business Insider lived your life for a week, or tried to live the show for a week.
Okay, that I didn't hear about. What
Yeah.
was their week
Oh,
like?
my team's like, don't talk about it.
What was their week
Other
like?
media company, but
That's so
I
funny.
love that, and you can.
Oh, she loves that. She loves when anybody lives like her. And like, really?
You not on the script. You can live this life. You've brought this life to.
What life? Everything in life she has is because of her husband and his family. She hasn't done any of this herself. Netflix would not give her the time of day without him.
The world
Wow.
in such a beautiful way. And backstage we were just talking about, we kind of need hope. I like to say fun, but hope. And you're really
Golly, who is this person again? Time CEO Jessica Sibley, she doesn't know how to do an interview. Golly, this is just an exercise in butt kissing, and I just,
you're really focused on that. So
Well, I think
we appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just hate bad interviews. I just, there's no serious question being asked. It's all, how are you feeling? Oh, look, this.
I think hope maybe is one word for it. Also, just people wanting to reconnect with each other, really wanting to have a sense of community and to feel grounded in something that's real and that's not that complicated. I think as a working mom,
Except for when it comes to her own in-laws and her own father. Again, she can't live the life she preaches. That makes her a hypocrite.
and again, these are 3 projects that we're all launching really at the same time. So behind the scenes for the past year and a half have been incredibly busy and ambitious, but to see it all come to life
And it's been a sort of train wreck in multiple ways. It's been a wreck because it has not been well thought through. It has not been well executed, and it does reflect badly on her. There's a series of mistakes that she should not have made. She only made because she's an amateur and more focused on how somebody is opening up a box they'll throw away than the actual box of her products people are using.
try to give yourself the space and the grace to make mistakes, to know that you're not going to get it right every day, and at the same time to prioritize what we're going to put out as our next tranche of SKUs as equally important to me as Archie losing his first tooth this week, which is a
Gosh, stop talking about the kids. And when it comes to the SKUs, again, she has not focused on them that much. She needs to stop saying, "Oh, I'm just focusing on the SKUs," and stuff like that. Like she's play acting business when she knows nothing about business. And I find it just annoyingly offensive. I just find it annoyingly offensive. It's just vacuous nonsense. She does not know what she's talking about. And if she made like you can make some mistakes. Agree with that. But the mistakes she made, like promoting a brand that she dropped last fall, didn't tell anybody about, and then regurgitated just as ever at people, is indicative of not just a mistake, it's a catastrophic failure on multiple levels. All of that should have been taken care of behind the scenes before telling anyone. She told people too early because she probably thought she could get things to shelves a lot quicker. Didn't anticipate something like, I don't know, trademark issues because she was trying to trademark a geographical location. Like, this is stuff that's so rank amateur. It's embarrassing that these were her flubs. It's embarrassing to any competent business person. These are embarrassing. And then to go, oh, Archie's tooth, I got to care as much about that. I mean, that's fine, but as well, these are not your average everyday mistakes. Mistakes do happen. These are catastrophic failures of judgment. And doesn't matter what she says. And the mistakes that she's going to keep making, I think, because she doesn't seem to really, in some ways, recognize the mistakes that she's made. And again, I have a whole Substack going over every single mistake of Meghan Markle when it comes to her packaging.
about to happen, and I just hope we're back home in time for it. That it all matters. And when you look at your life through that perspective, which frankly, being a parent gives you the most illuminating perspective, because what is seemingly so big somehow becomes so microscopic and
Well, then why doesn't she go and help her husband, let's say, make amends with his father and family and friends and make amends with her own father? Why? Because it's all about serving her. That's all that matters is Meghan.
importance compared to what's happening with your children. That's certainly how I feel, that you just make time to do it all. And I think maybe that's what is hopeful. That's
Make time to do it all. Can't really do it all. That's sort of the lie that you can do it all. You can't.
what feels like the dream.
Well, and she's really hoping for the money. Let's be honest.
Well, you are a very high profile person. You are under a lot of microscopes, scrutiny. How do you just stay focused, minimize the noise, not get distracted?
Ugh, this is such a ridiculous question because we know she gets distracted by the noise. She's very reactionary.
Give us some like tools, tactics. We all have that in our lives.
Well, when
She can't really give it though on the granular level. Like what Meghan deals with is so different than what every other person would deal with. It's just a dumb question.
I was backstage listening to Ryan speak, and he
Because she has to mention Ryan Reynolds because, you know, he's famous and she's just so desperate for that A-list status.
gave that quote, which you all would have heard. What did he say? Tina Fey said, if you're feeling good about yourself, just, you don't want to, what did he say verbatim? If you're feeling good about yourself, go online.
Right.
Yeah, just go online.
Which we know she stalks online. She definitely is looking online 150%. She's online looking at stuff about herself quite a bit and fuming over it.
So I don't do that.
That's why.
I've made a very, very conscious effort to create boundaries for myself and for my mental health, for my well-being, and certainly to role model that as well for my children.
And this is where it gets interesting because she really wants to role model it for Lily. Archie matters very little.
Conscious of not just raising a very strong and confident young woman, but also having a son, I think it's just as paramount of importance for young.
So it's sort of interesting how she phrased it. So I guess I misinterpreted it a little bit. But she's like, her first emphasis is always on how is she raising Lily, and Archie is secondary. And even in how she's raising Archie, it's about how he'll impact other women in the future, which I sort of get. But at the same time, I feel like he's going to be really messed up when he grows up. Just saying this right now, because it's just so obvious that she cares a lot more about Lily than she does Archie, because she mentions all the time about girls and girls and girls and girls. Doesn't put a lot of emphasis on her son. Just saying.
young men to be raised with a confidence and sense of self that is going to empower the women around them too.
So it's important to raise Archie to have a sense of self so he can raise the confidence of other women around him. So again, he's very much put in that subservient role, and I'm sure his father is too.
So I try to model that behavior, but again, like it starts with whatever's going on internally. And when I am able to not even just tune out whatever that noise is, to really not give it any credence, that has become so much a part of my day-to-day life.
But we see all the time that she reacts to things in the news. She constantly wanted to push back against things in the news as a royal, and allegedly she wanted to push back against the negative headlines regarding polo and Sintobale and those sorts of things. So that she distracts herself from the noise, I don't see that. I see somebody who's constantly trying to direct the noise in a way that suits her, but the more she talks, the worse it gets. It's kind of like even mentioning Archie's tooth. Well, today we just saw that Prince Louis has lost his two front teeth with his 7th birthday pictures. So, did she talk about Archie because she's really all that excited about him losing his first tooth? Or is she thinking, oh man, Catherine and William, they shared this picture of Prince Louis. I got to compete. That's what I get the sense of.
And things will get brought to my attention if on a need to know basis. Outside of that, I'm kind of late on the boat for a lot of things going on. And I'm okay with that. That's part of what I find to bring me peace.
I just don't believe a word of that. I don't believe a word of that. We have heard, I think it was even Valentine Lowe who talked about it, and Tom Bauer as well in their books about Harry and Meghan, talking about how they were constantly scrolling through social media while on tours and stuff. She's constantly on social media. She's obsessed with it. So this idea that, oh no, I just only unless somebody brings something to my attention do I care. Don't believe it.
It also helps me have very, very strategic focus on the intention of the products, the creative or the producerial work that we're doing that I want to bring to the table. So it does give me a lot of space to focus because I'm not in the same swirl that a lot of us find ourselves in.
Having looked at her products, she obviously didn't care that much. She's obviously very distracted because I've seen her products, I've tasted her products. They're not good.
Well, speaking of the Ryan interview, I was with the journalist who did the interview. We were in the green room, and I said, "Give me some tips. What should I ask Meghan?"
You don't need tips.
Oh,
You're doing great.
I always need tips.
Well, she's only doing great because Harry and Meghan said, "Oh, you can't ask this, 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 and this." And most of the mainstream media outlets are too chicken to actually ask a serious question.
She said flour sprinkles.
Oh dear Lord. Flour sprinkles are terrible, by the way.
My gosh.
Talk about flour.
Oh gosh. Like Time 100 Summit, and you're getting a lecture on flour sprinkles. The vacuous nonsense is insane.
Flour sprinkles.
You would think it's like a little fairy. If I could just be tossing them around all the time. The obsession that has come with flour sprinkles,
Explain
I was
to
not
this audience
expecting.
who might not have.
Which is not necessarily good because people are making fun of it more. And you got to wonder too if the journalist was like, ask her about flour sprinkles. Got to wonder if it wasn't really a nicely suggested question. It was, yeah, ask her about this dumb thing that she did.
Watch the show yet about flour sprinkles.
So it sounds so all things to be talking about for Time 100.
Yeah, because you have nothing else. You won't let them ask you a serious question. So they have to ask you about flour sprinkles. They can't ask you anything else. She doesn't want a serious question. She doesn't want a serious interview. She likes these puff pieces where she gives you nothing.
Let's talk about flour sprinkles.
Except she lies quite a lot.
But because I think it speaks,
at least in my opinion,
to the tiny moments of joy that are so effortless and just create a little bit of magic that we're all craving in our everyday.
Flour sprinkles do not get that, Meghan Markle. That's just, again, everything goes back when you think about it. The show, the products, everything is about just aesthetically looking nice. A flour sprinkle shouldn't really give you a lot of joy. Yeah, it's maybe a stupid thing every once in a while going, oh, this little thing, oh, it makes my day. But the real joy comes with family, friendships. It doesn't come with flipping flour sprinkles. That's just dumb. But Meghan's shallow. And so for her, it probably does because she's shallow, vain, and vapid.
They're tiny little flower petals that are dried. I started putting them on salads. I started putting them on scrambled eggs. It didn't actually matter. On a yogurt parfait. The level of charm that you find people have when they see these tiny little dried petals.
I don't believe that. I would just be thinking, "Why are you doing this? This is weird. I don't want flowers on my salad. I want cheese and goodies and stuff. I don't want flowers."
It's something I can't fully wrap my head around, but I appreciate that there is a love for the detail and the small level of delight that can be added. So
People just think it's stupid, Megan. That's why they were talking about it, because it's dumb. That's the point.
take flower sprinkles really as an analogy and think about what you could do in your everyday life that can just have a little splash of magic on unexpected moments.
It's actually probably about relationships, so one thing she doesn't have. That's really is what brings the true magic to your life, not stupid flower sprinkles.
And as a CEO, you're going to patent that, and that's your IP, and no one can steal it. Going to be very effective.
Thank you.
Oh, this is so dumb.
We had Nicole Kidman as one of our Women of the Year in February, and she's
Golly, stop doing the Anna.
also a CEO in addition to everything else that she does.
She's incredible.
She said that I think there were like 19 to 20 directors, female, that she's worked with.
Yeah, this is just so tedious.
And Lucy Feldman asked from our stage, "Who's the one that you haven't that you'd like to work with?" And she said, "Catherine Bigelow." So she made some noise, made a call, all this.
Yeah.
Who have you not had on your show or your podcast? Who would you want to get and
That's a decent question. I'll give it that to her.
mention today?
Is this the hook? Is this the bait that we're putting out? I will say I've been so fortunate that even before the series had aired, in talking about what the premise was and how conversational and more relatable we wanted it to be, I was able to get legends like Alice Waters, who
I had no clue who Alice Waters is. So this idea, I mean, they came because of Netflix. And according to one guy who was on, I think it was one of the UK news outlets. I can't remember which one now. It wasn't GB News. It was something else. Anyways, he was talking about how he was offered by Netflix more to come on Meghan's show. And he's like, "No, I don't really care." And he got raked over the coals by that by her fans for like going, I don't really want to be a part of this dog and pony show. And so this idea that she was getting by herself all these big names is like, no, it's because it was a Netflix production. That's why.
It's amazing.
I just love her so much, and we've now become friends. Having her on the show, and also other friends as well, who we haven't revealed things about season 2, and Ted will come here later, but I can apologize in advance for saying, Jose Andres is going to be on season 2. We love
Nobody cares, Meghan. Really, nobody cares. People are excited about Wednesday. The Wednesday trailer came out today, and it was pretty good. Why? Because Jenna Ortega is a good actress. It looks pretty good. I watched the first season, didn't really watch it again. There's other things I'm so much more interested about than her stupid show. And I think, again, the hook is, I don't think she gained a new fan base. I think people watch to make fun of her.
Jose so much. So I think my wish list has been, I've been fortunate to have the people that I want on the show. And if I think of someone else, I'm going to have to figure out a way to tell you so you could put that out there.
Perfect.
I'm sure there's plenty of people, but I'm sure they've asked and they've all said no. So she's too embarrassed probably to say who she's really wanted because she can't get a lot of people.
But no, I've been really lucky. We have great lineup.
And we're out of time, but we said we might go over a few minutes.
I told you can't fit a full journey in 20 minutes.
And we're
There's not even a part of a journey here. You asked 0 questions, 0 good questions. Meghan answered 0 good questions.
we are
It's
time,
just-
so we have to stay on time.
That's
But I'm
right.
going to ask you my last question.
Sure.
What's next? What's your 4th platform? What are you excited about the rest of this year and into 2026?
Thank you for
Just wanting to make more money.
asking. I think obviously focusing on our family and our children is the most important and first platform. It all stems from there.
Except for her in-laws. That includes her father-in-law with cancer, her own father with health issues. Those people don't matter. Those people don't matter.
But beyond that, as I continue to work to uplift other female founders, that's really using the platform of Confessions of a Female Founder to do that, to continue to expand my portfolio of investment into female-founded companies because
Again, it's all about women. You just get the sense she doesn't care all that much about her son. I'm sorry, you just get that sense.
they're so under-resourced and under-supported. That is very, very important to me. And then the extension
They are not under-resourced. Again, this lie that somehow women are not given the right platforms or whatever is just ridiculous.
of, as I continue to invest in them, investing in myself with the business of As Ever.
Which is the true platform. She wants to invest in herself. She wants to make herself money. And I got to say as well, what is it? Sesta Collective, the handbag company she invested in and had to write a whole New York Times article about, was paying women in Rwanda pennies on the dollar for the products and then selling them for a massive upcharge. What about those women, Meghan Markle? Are you uplifting those women?
Scaling that to growth, and then there'll be more surprises.
Can't wait. Thank you, Meghan.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations again on
appreciate it.
everything.
Thank you.
So
Thank
happy
you,
to have you
everyone.
here.
Thank you.
Okay, that was nothing. That was embarrassingly bad. Oh, People Magazine. But this is the thing with Harry and Meghan. To get Harry and Meghan on anything, you have to basically promise them you won't ask them one serious question at all. So that's the end of the video. Did you learn anything? I would argue not. Did you hear Meghan spin things in a positive way where it was probably more of a bad situation, or I could argue a lie? Yes. Yes, because that's what Meghan Markle does. She doesn't want to be asked a serious question, and she wants to dodge anything that's somewhat serious, and because she's vacuous. She's a vapid, vain, and shallow person. And I feel like this comes across once again on this interview. And this is why I can't take her serious as a businesswoman. She didn't even get this interview because her business has been all that successful. It's just because she has a good PR company. And yeah, that worked for a long time and it still continues to work in some ways. But I feel like the more she talks, the less seriously I can take anything that she does. And I haven't even listened to a Confessions of a Female Founder because it just seems pointless. It's more about girl talk than it is about business. And I just don't understand. Meghan could be so much more successful if she leans into that shallowness that is her real thing instead of trying to be deep and uplift female women and founders or whatever. Just say you just want to have some girl talk and go on call her daddy or whatever and just do that, because that is the real level of Meghan Markle. She tries to hide it and mask it with all this stuff, but we see the truth behind the scenes. So let me know what you guys think of this latest appearance. Let me know what you think of Meghan's abysmal fashion sense. I'd love to get your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again soon. Bye.